Hey YouTube, it's Tyler the Antenna Man here to talk about different kinds of signal amplifiers for TV antennas and whether or not it's a good idea to add one in the first place. I think way too many people out there think adding an amplifier to an antenna all of a sudden makes it better in every scenario because an amplified antenna is supposed to be better than a non-amplified antenna. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot more to that. Now the first thing I want to mention is that any amplifier added onto an antenna is meant to make up for signal loss in a coaxial cable. It doesn't magically bring in new stations that are not hitting your antenna in the first place. That being said, there are probably many scenarios where people are losing some very weak stations in a long coaxial cable run, and adding an amplifier may help the cause. The first kind of signal amplifier that I'm going to explain is a preamplifier. It looks exactly like what you see on the screen behind me. These go up at the antenna, and there's usually a power inserter that goes somewhere between the preamplifier and your TV set to send power up to this preamp, so that way it adds gain and you don't lose any of the signal in a long coaxial cable run. Another kind of signal amplifier is an inline amplifier, and it looks exactly like what you see here. The main difference between an inline amplifier and a preamplifier is that an inline amplifier can't feasibly be connected to an antenna outside since it's not waterproof or anything like that. And if you're connecting a cable to it that already has a 25-foot run, there's already some signal loss in it that cannot be recovered without using a preamp. Both of these kinds of amplifiers are meant to compensate for signal loss in a long coaxial cable run. They won't magically bring in new stations that are not hitting your antenna in the first place. I feel that too many people think amplifiers are like magnets where they will pull in these stations that aren't quite hitting your antenna. Understand that's not the case. In fact, adding an amplifier in some instances can make your reception worse by either over-amplifying strong signals or amplifying too much noise on weak stations. So how do you know if you need an amplifier added onto your antenna? One way to find out is to go to antennaweb.org, type in your address, and if you see blue or purple stations, those stations are very weak, and the chances are if you don't have an adequate antenna, you may lose some of the signal when running a long coaxial cable run, and a preamp may fix that issue. Another way you can find out whether or not you need an amplifier added onto your antenna is if you connect your antenna with a small coaxial cable to a TV set, maybe on the roof or somewhere in the yard, and see the stations that you're getting. Then connect it to your main line where it's connected to your current TV set and see if you're getting the same stations. If you notice you're getting a lot of pixelization on some stations or stations went away altogether, there's a good chance you will need a preamp or inline amplifier. You can find a list of recommended preamps and inline amplifiers in the description of this video. One other thing I need to mention is that if you purchase an antenna that has a built-in preamp, you cannot add an amplifier onto it, or else it will either not power the preamp built into it in the first place or just completely over-amplify your signal. So if you purchased an Antop antenna or maybe one of those junky boost wave antennas I tell people not to buy and they buy anyway, you cannot add a preamp onto them. Hopefully my video helped explain the different kinds of signal amplifiers you can add onto an antenna and whether or not it's needed for your situation. I found in many instances you don't need an amplifier added onto your antenna, as long as you have a decent antenna and good quality RG6 quad shield cable. If you feel my videos have been helpful to you in improving your TV reception and cutting the cord altogether, consider supporting me at patreon.com/antennaman, as I really do spend a lot of time producing these videos and responding to all of your questions. Subscribe to my channel for more cord cutting and antenna related information. Have an awesome day.